Hey everyone, welcome back to Aliens on Toast Gaming, and today we are playing as the king of the Isle. That is until the Hyper-Rex is released. That is the T-Rex. We are playing as the currently most damaging dinosaur in the game. They recently updated what the Rex can do, and essentially, he's a one-man killing machine. But that's not the only thing they updated. They also changed a lot of the progression stats. They added Sandbox back in. The Hyper-Rex is back in Sandbox. I'm not sure if he's in progression. Let's have a look. So there have been a lot of changes. So the Hyper-Rex is not back in progression from what I understand. But the points needed to actually progress through these lines have changed a lot. For example, from Velociraptor to Hera, you need 120 points now, rather than, I think it was 30 before. Same for Ostroraptor. Utahraptor, you need 300 points from the Hera. You need 360 points to get to Allosaur. And you need 180 from the Ostro to get to the Baryonyx. That is crazy. But more so than that, Sucho 360, Carno 300, Acro 360, Giga 480, Spino 480, and Rex 480. So, for example, us getting to the Rex line, we had Velociraptor, 120 minutes to Hera, then 360 minutes on top of that to Allo, another 360 minutes on top of that to Acro, and another 480 minutes on top of that to the Rex. And that's just the carnivores. Herbivores have also been changed, and I'll show them later on. But for now, we're going to go test this guy out. One of the biggest changes that I think is going to be for the better is that Chance can't stomp you to death constantly now. If they have a broken leg, that's it. They cannot stomp anymore. And luckily, this guy, when he takes a nibble out of anything, he breaks their legs, if not just straight up murder them. So our plan is to find ourselves some dinner, get ourselves nice and fed, and rule this world as much as we can. So I briefly mentioned it just before, and one of the biggest changes that came with the new updates is the fact that Sandbox is out. You can go play Sandbox now just like you used to. And what that means is you are now able to practice these dinosaurs that take so long to get to. So rather than just playing the Baryonyx for the first time ever and looking on that dinosaur and seeing, oh, you know, that looks pretty cool, you can jump over to Sandbox and say, oh, okay, so this is how you play that dinosaur. I know what I'm doing now. I'm not going to die within the first 30 minutes. So our plan today is not to play Sandbox. We're playing progression. And we have to hunt, because eventually we're going to get hungry. Though we're not too bad at the moment, we're almost full. But you never know when food's going to come your way. So I'm heading down to Marsh at the moment, and we're going to see what kind of delectable creatures we can stir up out of the woods. And good God, is it vibrant around here. Like, ooh, did I see some movement down there? Or is that just trees? I think that's just trees. So, I don't know why, but it seems like there is way less ground clutter on at the moment. There's like a little bit of grass down there, but I don't know. There's usually like grass and bushes and stuff all the way over here, like these kind of bushes. Seems weird that there wasn't anything other than that. But let's take our time. Yeah, this is like so open now. When did that happen? Take our time over to Marsh Lake. Just go nice and quietly, keeping that stealth speed under our belt. Now, one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves, because it is such a long journey back to Rex. It takes so goddamn long. So you don't want to rush it. You don't want to just rush in there not knowing what is around and hoping for the best, because that's just not going to happen. You're going to get your face stomped in by a trike or a shant or even a Maya, even if there's enough of them. So you want to be a bit more careful. It used to be that, you know, the mega packs, you're probably going to get more of those, but you're going to get less of the less of the KOS people, because they're risking a lot by playing that way. And what I might do is I might actually just try re-logging, because it seems This seems way too empty to me, so I'm gonna log out, and I'm gonna try logging in and see if that fixes the stuff, or if this is indeed how the marsh looks now. Okay, it looks like marsh is just really damn empty nowadays, which means it's gonna be a bit harder for us to hunt here, so we might actually take a drink and then head on over to try across the water there, because we want to have a little bit of cover, because the Rex works best when he doesn't have to chase something down. Because we're not particularly fast. I mean, this is our regular running speed, and I think most dinosaurs should be able to outrun that. Our running speed isn't that much different from our standard trot speed. So if we can get somewhere where we can actually kind of stay hidden, at least for the most part, that'd be nice. But you never know with these sort of things, because they seem to change things with each update. Who knows? But anyway, we're gonna head over to try. We're gonna see if we can hide amongst the trees there. Maybe scout out the first lake so we don't have such a huge area to look for, and see what kind of dinos we come across. Hopefully some. Some would be nice. Okay, so we've almost made our way back over to the tri-lakes. Hopefully we can catch somebody who's either hoping to hunt their own food, or maybe progressing over there. Something large would be nice, because as you can see, I am getting quite hungry now. How much hunger do we have? We have 1,600, and it goes down quite a bit each time. But the good thing about us going over to Tri-Lakes is I am very, very, well, I'm pretty confident we're not going to see any more apex carnivores, simply because it takes so long to get to them. Let's see, so there doesn't seem to be anything in these trees. But to actually get to an apex carnivore, you need to have a total of 1,320 minutes played. And that's in minutes. That's how long you need to be playing at each of those steps in the dinosaur progression line. That is 22 solid hours of gameplay just to get to a Rex, or most apexes. And that is pretty crazy. I mean, it was hard enough when it was like 8 hours gameplay. No one wanted to do that. So it's going to be really interesting just seeing how many apexes there are, or how few apexes there are. So let's just take our time getting up in here, see if we can maybe sneak up on somebody who's not prepared to deal with a Tyrannosaur, hopefully. I mean, it's a pretty common place to go around here. Most carnivores will come here because it's a very well-known water source, whereas herbivores come here because there's progression plants further up. And we're going to slowly make our way over to those progression plants. But the problem is, it's so well-known that a lot of people also try to avoid it, because there's always somebody here. That more often than not, you're going to bump into something at the Tri-Lakes. So for now, we're kind of tiptoeing that line between we're in a really, really high populated area, or really, really well-known area that may not be very highly populated, or it could be very, very highly populated and we could be in a bit of trouble. But for the most part, it seems like we're essentially, like we're good, that there's not many people here at the moment. So all we really need is to bump into something small enough that we can sink our teeth into it, which pretty much means anything at this point. I mean, we're a Rex, for God's sake. We could pretty much sink our teeth into the ground itself and eat the earth, because we're that frickin' enormous. But that is, you know, possibly pushing it a bit too far. We don't need that much food. So I will settle for a shant, or for even a giga. I mean, if I came across one of them and I was hungry enough. But it's looking pretty much like there's nothing here. And they've gotten rid of all the rocks over there too. Man, things have changed since I was last on here. Because that used to be a really common spot for people to hide behind. But it seems at the moment like all of what I used to know has been changed. Which means, woohoo! We get to find out new things about a new map. But it also means we have to find out where the regular haunts are again. Because sitting behind those rocks over there used to be really common with these small carnivores, because they could kind of oversee the whole lake here and see if there was any trouble, see if there was any food coming their way. And it does actually appear, like, is that grass there or something? That little glowing patch. Yeah, I think that's just grass. But the progression plants, which is what we're really after, are just in this direction. And if we can get there without drawing too much attention to ourselves, we might be able to catch a herbivore unaware. Hopefully. I mean, we'll see. I'm not too sure about that. Okay, so we have made our way to these progression plants, and unfortunately, it looks like there's nothing here, which means we have to go scrounge around for our own food somewhere else. But considering the number of people in the server, and I'll just show you that number, there's two. There is 2 people on the server. 3 people! That was convenient, there is 3 people on the server. I'm not too confident about actually being able to bump into one of those guys, to find them in the woods or going for a drink of water. I don't think that's going to happen just by accident. I'd have to know where these guys are. So what I might do is I might actually log out of this server and then jump into another one to show you guys the herbivore progression. So I might go find myself a nice quiet place to rest before logging out. But before I do, I've been watching a whole bunch of documentaries and reading a few papers recently which suggest that the vocal cords of dinosaurs sounded a lot more like birds. So all of that chirping and general bird noise that you can hear in the background, it's probably more similar to what a dinosaur sounded like. So instead of roaring like this and sounding epic as hell, blowing people's ears out with the pure, like, bass, goddamn, like, I don't know how to describe it, just that guttural roar that a dinosaur would do. It would instead sound a little bit more bird-like. So you'd run up on a carnivore or a herbivore, you'd be chasing it down, prepare to roar to scare it off even more, and it's a little less intimidating when it sounds like that. But anyway, I'm going to log out now. I'm going to jump up into these hills here, and then I'm going to jump into another server to show you guys the herbivore progression line. Okay, so here we are. We're playing as a herbivore. We're playing as the tiny little Dryo. And the main reason we're playing as this guy is we're going to check out how herbivores progress now. So it's not completely finalized, just as with the carnivore one. There's a lot of changes that are still going to be made. But for the most part, the biggest difference is the fact that the progression amount, the amount of points you need to go from one level to the next, has changed drastically. So we're just going to head up here, I'm going to sit down, and let's check out these points. Okay, so let's have a look at these progression times. So the taco used to be 2 points, and that was it. And now it's 30 points, so you have to eat 30 plants to get to the Dryo. Gallimimus is 120, Maya 240, Diablo 240, Packy 120, Stego 300, Anki 300, Derry 300, Trike 300, Shant 300, and Puerta 600. So that is a huge bump in the progression milestones now. So you're not going to have too many Shants running around, which is good, and it's also going to be a great time for the Ostros and for the Heras and anything that is essentially a baby killer. Because of these progression times, there's going to be so much more incentive for people to actually go out and nest. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing next episode. We're going to jump onto our Rex, we're going to nest somebody up, and we're going to see if we can take care of them as much as possible, because I'm pretty sure most people will want to be a Rex at this point. So I'm sure there's going to be some interest in there. And hopefully we don't get a Shant group coming along us, because there's going to be less of them. They're not as, well, I guess, overpowered as fuck compared to how they used to be. But anyway, we're going to look at that next time. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Stay toasty, and goodbye!